again, everybody, and welcome to 4 Star Chicago Sports. This is the NorthSide Nine podcast, and I got my boy, as usual, Kyle in the house. What's going on, Kyle?
I'm good, man. How are you doing?
Oh, living the St. Patrick's Day dream. Happy St. Patrick's Day, or early St. Patrick's Day to everybody out there, because a lot of us will be celebrating it for the next couple of days, and Kyle will be working it for the next couple of days. Clocking those dollars in East Dundee, the home of St. Patrick's Day, or at least we like to think it is, anyways. So, how was your night, man? How you feeling this morning?
Good, man. We were actually really busy yesterday, so it took me a while to get out of there, man. I probably didn't get home till like 3:30, 4 o'clock in the morning. So, we're dragging a little bit here, Sean, but I'll be all right.
Dragging our butts like an old tired dog. What else is new in this day and age? Well, the Chicago Cubs did head across the country, or the world, I should say, and arrived safely in Japan. And I'm very happy for that. I'm sure as most are. They've been enjoying the culture. We're going to share a couple videos with you, go over some expectations, talk a couple things. Let's kick it off with this entry. As this series takes place this Tuesday and Wednesday, I want to let everybody know, because I know a lot of people may not. Both games between the Dodgers and Cubs will be broadcast nationally. The first game airing on Fox at 5:10 a.m. and Wednesday's Game 2, March 19th, will be airing on FS1 at the same time, 5:10 a.m. It'll also be covered, obviously, on the regional networks of Marquee and MLB TV. Some blackout restrictions may apply, as they are saying. Additionally, the Cubs and Dodgers will play a pair of exhibition games at Nippon Professional Baseball opponents prior to their matchup. The Cubs will take on the Hanshin Tigers at 11 p.m. Eastern on March 14th. I believe that's today, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
They will be playing today. They are saying, and the 16th, and the Giants. Yes, the Giants on the 16th. Those games will both be broadcast on Marquee Television and MLB. And if you care at all, the Dodgers exhibition games will be broadcast on MLB TV as well. A little measurables. The Tokyo Dome measures 400 feet to dead center and 330 down the left field and 360 down the right field lines. So it's a pretty big stadium. The Cubs have played one other game in the Tokyo Dome. They won that game 5-3 behind one of my favorite, most underrated pitchers in Chicago Cubs baseball history, Mr. John Lieber. That was only one game. They went against Mike Hampton. And check this out, Kyle. He went 5 innings despite allowing 9 walks. None were intentional. And he had one player hit by a pitch and one wild pitch that was a strikeout that the runner reached base. Can you even imagine that happening now, and how fast that yank would have been in baseball today?
Sean, I expect to see some sloppy baseball over there between the Cubs and the Dodgers this time around. I mean, those 5 o'clock in the morning. I mean, imagine doing your normal routine, getting up at 5 a.m. like you normally, except for this time you have to go straight to the stadium and play a game of baseball at 5 o'clock in the morning. Yeah. I mean, it's impossible for those guys to adjust within that amount of time. I mean, there's no way that those guys. It's going to be rough for sure. There's definitely going to be some mistakes.
Yeah, and if people remember, that was back in 2000, Kyle. So that was the year after we had the Sammy Sosa had that big 60 home run season. He actually didn't homer in that opening day. He hit cleanup. He hit a double. Reached base a couple times in that game, actually. Finished 2 for 3. Joe Girardi was the big hero. He went 3 for 4. And honestly, everyone thought he was at the tail end of his career. He wound up being an all-star in 2000 for the Cubs. The Mets' big hitter that day, who also had a career season that year, was Mike Piazza. He finished the day 2 for 4. and he finished that season hitting 324, 38 home runs. He finished third in MVP voting. And just one of my other favorite Cubs, whose helmet hangs behind me, my Cubs Wall of Fame, Mark Grace, hit an insurance run home run in that game in the 8th inning. So what happened? Cubs are technically undefeated in Tokyo. So we'll take that away. Have you been able to?
It's gonna be a little tougher this time around. That Dodgers team is scary.
It will be a little tougher. Have you been able to see anything that's going on out there, their arrival or anything?
The only thing I saw, Sean, or I read, I should say, or I think I actually heard from you, was the fact that they weren't letting people see Ohtani when he was getting off the plane. That was strange going on there.
That was reported on the Score, and it didn't really sound like they were making a joke out of it. It sounded like that was actually happening, and they seemed very confused to why this is supposed to be putting, a spotlight on baseball and their players, and they're hiding them. I don't. It seemed very weird to me. You know?
I mean, I thought the whole point of this was like, hey, look at all the Japanese players coming over to the United States. There's players from the United States playing in the Japan League. Like, I thought we were supposed to be celebrating like the marriage between the two, but I don't know. Maybe they thought people would be mad at him for leaving Japan and going to play in the United States. I have no idea. It's just something strange. I've never seen that before. Well, why is he the only one? Why isn't Imanaga or Suzuki?
Suzuki, and I saw Suzuki and Shota get off the plane together. There's actually video footage of them to a great reception of their fellow countrymen and women at the airport. So I thought that was really cool. It had to be really nice for them as they're leading the Cubs around Japan. And according to Shota Imanaga, the Cubs are his teammates are embracing the team culture, and the fans are embracing the Cubs as we give a quick shout out to Alex Cohen. He has been on play-by-play for the Cubs AAA baseball affiliate for a number of years now. He has now got promoted to the big league club, and he is reporting live from Japan. This is one of his videos that he sent out, and I'll follow it up by what he said about Japan. He said the fans have consistently been entering into the Tokyo Dome as the Cubs had their first workout. He goes, the vibe here as they cheer for anything as simple as a wave from one player. He said the lower bowl is completely filling up. It's very impressive. So to me, it sounds like it's an incredible atmosphere so far. The energy from the fans must be electric, especially for this Cubs workout. There's something special, I guess, about seeing a team overseas. I mean,
Sean, that place looks beautiful, man. If I had the money, I would have loved to go see the Cubs play in Japan. That stadium looks amazing. I know you showed me a picture of what they did with the staircases for the Cubs and Dodgers. I would just think, wouldn't you think that Ohtani's like the Japanese sports hero over there? Like he's coming over to the United States and just dominated Major League Baseball. Yeah, I mean, that right there is beautiful. The amount of effort and work they put into the stadium for these two games is absolutely amazing.
Yeah, and just so everyone knows, there's two staircases like this. I just didn't care enough to capture the Dodgers side of it. But yes, and it's very exciting, Kyle, when you think about it, because this has been known for a while, but we do have Yamamoto versus Imanaga. And, as Imanaga is coming off an incredible first season, just really quick before we get into it, this was his last, some highlights from his last tune-up at Sloan Park before he headed over to Japan. I think this was last Monday or Tuesday.
Good hitting catcher, because you're managing a pitching staff and possibly might get a weak swing like that.
That's a sword right there. He can put it in orbit.
Oh, nope, he's going back up.
And there you have it.
Get some help
right there, and that is the third strikeout of the inning.
So it looks like Shota was refining his skill and getting ready for this opener. What do you expect, Kyle, from Shota and the Chicago Cubs as a whole as they enter this series against the billion-dollar Dodgers?
Well, I certainly expect game one to be a pitching duel. I think all the Japanese players are going to come out to play, man. I think they're all going to have a pretty good series here, these two games. I think Imanaga is going to continue where he left off last season. I'm not saying he's going to do it for the rest of the season, but I think this game means a lot to them, playing in Japan, playing in front of, like you said, their countrymen. Probably, I'm assuming that their families are probably there. I expect these guys to come out and shut both these lineups down. Now, that's easier said than done when you're talking about a Dodgers lineup that basically could be the NL All-Star team if they wanted to be. But I expect it to be a really, really competitive series, and I'm going to enjoy watching it. It just stinks that we have to wake up at 5 o'clock in the morning to watch it. But
well, if I may, my wife's alarm goes off at 5 a.m., 10 minutes before this first pitch. So I may have my eyes closed, but I'm definitely going to have it on TV with my ears wide open. So,
I mean, Sean, at this point for me, I would just get home from work and not go to sleep. And just stay up and watch it. I mean, that's my if I go to sleep, it's basically like I'm going to take an hour nap and wake up to watch it. So,
yeah, and too, let's not get it twisted. We do know that it was the last game before the Cubs left for Japan that Justin Steele did pitch, got rocked around a little bit. I think in a traditional season, and I still think that because they'll have enough time when they open. I believe it's March 24th, 26th, something like that. I can't remember exactly, down in Arizona, that we will be seeing Justin Steele get the nod as the real regular season pops off. So let's not get that.
I mean, Imanaga is starting this series because it's in Japan. You could probably say the same for the Dodgers. Justin Steele is the Cubs ace. There's no doubt about it. He is the leader of this pitching staff. He is the most consistent pitcher the Cubs have. He's probably the most dominant pitcher the Cubs have on the roster. If this series was in LA or in Chicago, Justin Steele would be starting game one. No doubt about it.
And again, I'm not really worried. I think I walked in to River Street right after he got pulled and he got rocked. But again, he was coming off the flu. So I'm going to wait. Justin Steele's a professional. He showed his consistency. We know who he is. So I'm not going to hold a bad start against him. He could have been trying to work on something, or could have still been winded from coming off that flu that he had. I've had the flu a couple times in the last 6 weeks, and they beat me up pretty good. So I can only imagine the fatigue of trying to go pitch in some heat in Arizona. So I'm not going to hold it against him.
Yeah, it hurt a little bit because it was the Brewers, and they were basically the major league rosters that they were playing. I mean, basically all of the starters for both teams were playing. So it did hurt a little bit to see. I mean, I think he gave up 10 hits and 3 home runs or something like that. So, yeah, you never want to see the Cubs lose to the Brewers, even if it's just an exhibition game. You just don't want to see it because that's, for me personally, Sean, I hate the Brewers more than I hate the Cardinals. And probably just because I've been to more Brewers games in Miller Park in Milwaukee. I've had to listen to that fan base. But let's face it, knock on wood here, Sean, but the Cardinals it's been a pretty rough patch for them here the last couple of years. They really haven't been that relevant. They're not really the team you have to worry about. The Brewers somehow put this cheap team together, and it keeps on continuing to win the NL Central. And I just don't understand it, because it's like they're pulling these guys out of a hat and they're coming in and pitching to a sub-1 ERA. It's amazing to me, but hopefully the tides are turning here a little bit, because I think Craig Counsell will be more comfortable with this roster, and I expect the Cubs to have a much better season than they did last year. And I'm not talking about in terms of wins. I'm talking about in terms of having a set bullpen, the sloppy play we saw in the beginning of last year, errors from Dansby Swanson and Nico Horner, which are very uncharacteristic of those two. I don't expect to see the same thing this year. If we do, then we have a whole nother conversation, a whole different topic to talk about.
Well, I will tell you a couple things that have made me pretty happy as we have moved through spring. One of them is Julian Merriweather, who has really impressed this spring. It seems that he's coming back off that injury. He's got 5.1 innings pitched, a 169 earned average, a 0.94 whip, a 33.3 K percentage to start, a 4.8 walk percentage, and 7 strikeouts in 5 innings. I'll be honest, this guy is another key to this bullpen. I'm kind of excited to see him, and he was huge for the Cubs. When he was lost last year, it was just one of the many pieces that kind of fell apart for this club. Him being healthy and getting back, I think, replaces the guy I was worried about on our last show. That would be Tyson Miller. And still, I shouldn't give up on Tyson Miller. He was in a lot of high leverage spots. He had a sub 2 earned run average for the Cubs last year. He has not looked good in spring.
Well, Sean, let me ask you, who do you think will end up being the 7, 8, 9 in crunch time, in clutch 1-score game, 1-run games? Who do you think by the end of the season? Obviously, you're going to see a lot of shaking up in this roster, but by the end of the season, give me your 7, 8, 9.
In an ideal world, because we traded for him, you'd like to see Presley closing. You like to see Porter Hodge and maybe the 7th, and then either Eli Morgan or Julian Merriweather coming in. And that I think those parts between 7 and 8 can be interchangeable between Morgan, Merriweather. And Hodge, if Hodge can continue on his trajectory and how he finished the season last year. But I think those are the 3 guys I like to see in 1-run type ball games, because you have 2 power guys there, and then you have Eli Morgan who just comes in and throws some nasty junk. So I think I'd like to see those 3 guys by the end of the season, or coming into mid-May, going into June, July, kind of see that bullpen shape up there, and hopefully Presley still has closer ability in him.
Yeah, I was going to say, I don't want to stick my foot in my mouth, Sean, but I think by the end of the season, Porter Hodge will be closing games for the Chicago Cubs. I honestly do. First of all, I have nothing against Presley, but Porter Hodge is young. He's going to be here for a long time. Give him that closing spot now if he continues to do what he was doing last season. Just make him your closer. Make him the closer here for the next 5 years, 5-6 years. I think by the end of the season, Sean, the very high leverage games will end up being Merriweather, Morgan, Hodge. I think Presley will still play in some very important games for the Cubs. One score. He's going to be a crucial part of this team. But I think when it comes down to it, like a playoff game, 3 guys you need to get 9 outs, I think it's going to be Merriweather, Eli Morgan, Porter Hodge.
So you're taking Presley out of that role?
Yeah, I mean, Sean, as of late, he's just been inconsistent. He finished season with what? Last year he had a 3.5 ERA, something like that, 3.4 ERA. I mean, we talked about this before the beginning of last season, right? When we were going into last season with Albert Alzolay. You just don't see good teams, playoff teams, Dodgers, Braves, Yankees. You don't see these teams with closers who have 3.5 ERAs. That's not a recipe for winning. Your closer needs to come in and almost guarantee you 3 outs. You want to see your closer be 100% has to be sub 2. You'd like to even see better than that. Maybe sub 1 for a good chunk of the season.
Sub 1.
And that's tough. But I think that there's guys in this team who are capable of doing that. And I don't think Presley's one of those guys. I'm not saying that Presley's not important to this team. I'm not saying he's not going to play in big level situations. I just don't see him as the closer. A guy who has a 3.5 ERA should not be your closer in Major League Baseball. He just shouldn't.
And to back up Kyle's claim, for those who don't remember, Porter Hodge was 1 pitch away in his debut from having a perfect inning. Check it out.
In there, and Albies gone on strikes.
Pretty good way to start your big league career right there.
Ooh. See you later. That's a pretty good start for you, Porter Hodge. Pitch. Got him swinging. He strikes out the side. Welcome to the show, Porter Hodge.
Oh, and look at the names, Sean.
That's what I'm saying.
Albies, Asuda, and Olsen. That's a big first inning, man.
Yeah, that's a hell of a major league debut for Mr. Porter Hodge, who we do hope continues to develop into that back end piece that the Chicago Cubs need. And I think the Cubs believe in him. And I think that's why you only saw them, hoping for a reclamation of Julian Merriweather, Porter Hodge to continue to ascend. And I mean, Presley, who they're banking on their closer, but I agree with you. I agree with you in the aspect, Kyle, of I think that Porter Hodge might start the season on the outside looking in, and they will kind of massage him into that role, especially if Presley is not who they think he's going to be.
I mean, Sean, we've had guys like Luke Little come up, Daniel Palencia, guys we've seen can throw triple digits, 100 miles an hour, but they just can't seem to be consistently find the strike zone. Porter Hodge looks like he's intentional. He looks like he knows he's dominant. I think he is the most 1 inning dominant pitcher on the Chicago Cubs. I think if you need 3 outs, you absolutely need 3 outs. You're up by 1 against the mighty Dodgers per se. That's the guy you're bringing in. I'm sorry. Like I said, I understand that, Presley, the reason Presley was traded out of Houston, guys, is because part of the reason he was traded out of Houston is because apparently him and the manager there didn't have a very good relationship because he was promised the closer role. Originally, when he was brought to Houston, he was promised the closer role, and then who did they end up signing there? Didn't they sign Harris? What was his name? The guy from the Brewers.
Was it God,
Long, whatever.
Long blonde hair.
Yeah.
I know. I can't think of his name.
So they ended up signing him, and they basically essentially kicked Presley back to the 7th, 8th inning, and he got upset and ultimately ruined that relationship there. And that's why the Houston was so open to trading him. But I just don't, I hope it's not the same situation here. I hope they told Presley when they traded for him, hey, there's a chance that you do not end up being the closer, just so you know. You're going to contribute to this team. You're going to play in big moments, high leverage situations, but you may not end up being the closer because for me, you got to put your best foot forward. And that's Porter Hodge. I mean, that guy, you just showed the footage there. When he's on, he is almost impossible to hit. And that's what your closer should be.
Yep. Night, baby. Time to go to sleep.
Mm-hmm. That's your Sandman.
As we enter this, 2-game set, then we come back, have another week of spring training, and then the season will be eventually starting here. I have to say the development of 2 players that I'm looking for, and I'm hoping they get off to quick starts across the world in Japan. One is going to be PCA, who is, I believe, 13 for 25. He's got 4 doubles, 3 home runs, 10 RBIs. He's hitting .519 currently. And then my other guy is Michael Bush, who is hitting .472, got an OBP of .472, a slugging of .636, and an OPS of 1,109. I know it's spring. These are impressive numbers, but you don't want to see them. I don't want to see them struggling. And I mean, right now, PCA is just every time I turn on a Cubs highlight from the spring, he's ripping the cover off the ball. So I'm very happy. And these are the 2 guys that I'm going to be watching against Yamamoto and Roki over the next couple of ball games because, and again, I don't want to say, oh my God, say they don't get a hit in the 2-game series. I'm not going to blow my mind either because it's 2 games. They're going to come back to spring and then they'll start in Arizona and get it going. I expect both of these dudes to have tremendous second seasons. I guess for PCA, it's going to be his first full season. But Michael Bush will be his second full season. And Michael Bush did nothing short of impress last year. He had that stretch where he had 5 home runs in a row, five straight games. So Michael Bush is my guy. Kyle knows how much I love him. But I love PCA too. What are your thoughts and who do you want to see? Because and really quick before I turn it over to you, they did add Matt Shaw. I know it's been a topic of discussion on the show the last couple of weeks, but Matt Shaw is on the Japan roster. He is overseas with the Chicago Cubs, so it looks like he'll be probably starting. So who are some players you're looking at, and who do you want to see succeed versus the $1 billion Dodgers?
Sean, there could be an argument made, and I cannot overstate how important PCA is to the team. If PCA is the guy that they've been talking about for the last 5 years, this guy who has the potential of being one of the best players in Major League Baseball, the Cubs get a lot better. You look at the paper, they get a lot better. If you look at that roster and you're like, oh, there's Kyle Tucker, oh yeah, and then the 5, 6, 7 hole, there's PCA, who's one of the most dangerous players in all of baseball, especially, even a walk, Sean. If you get PCA takes a walk, he just creates havoc on the base path. He does. We've seen it in spring training. We saw it last year. These teams just tend to make mistakes knowing he's on the base path because they want to catch him stealing, but it's almost impossible. They're just putting too much pressure on themselves. At this point, it's like, hey, just give him the base. You guys are causing more issues for yourself by trying to throw him out. But, Sean, when it comes to Matt Shaw, he could go 1 for 9 in the series, and it wouldn't bother me.
Correct.
Guy who not only has had injury issues through spring training, but this is his first crack at major league pitching. This game means a lot. This series means a lot to both of these teams, considering the Japanese influence on both these major league rosters. I don't expect a ton from him. Like I said, we talked about this earlier on the NorthSide Nine podcast. If he finished the season with a 250 average and 14 home runs, I'd be happy. And, it's going to take a while to bring him along. Like I said, early on in the season, guys, I don't expect Matt Shaw to be an everyday player. I think they're going to rotate that position between him, Gage Workman, and maybe even Justin Turner, I guess, at 40 years old at third base. A little concerning, but I just want Matt Shaw to start to look more and more comfortable every game. That's all I expect. I just expect him to look more and more comfortable at the plate, continue to work on his swing, refine his swing, perfect the art. And then somewhere around middle of the season, I expect him to come along. But the two guys this season who need to show improvement and be more consistent are Miguel Amaya and Pico Armstrong. It's time. I mean, these guys have both had over a year of experience in the major leagues. Maybe not playing every day, but they've been up. They've started to feel the vibe, feel how it is to be in a major league roster. These guys need to start to be more consistent now.
Yeah, and Miguel Amaya is the guy that I failed to mention. And as I'm looking, I'm trying to find his spring. What's he been doing? He didn't play, so that's kind of hard to find his stats. I wish they would post the regular stats like they do for the regular season in the spring, but I guess
I will say this, Sean. They used to not post the stats at all for spring training, so they have come a long way.
That's true.
So you can find the stat lines of the spring training games. Now, if you go on MLB.com, they'll show you the stats just like they do a normal baseball game. But I remember back in the day, you couldn't even see what they were doing. And they used to not televise most of those games either. Now you can watch every single spring training game on Marquee Network. You used to have to listen to them on the radio. And they even still, on the radio, they didn't play every single game. So they have
Amaya has not played. Wow. He hasn't played since last Saturday. He took the last Sunday, Monday, Tuesday off. But he is hitting .524.
He's had a good spring training. I know that.
He's actually, outside of Pete Crow-Armstrong, he's the best Cubs hitter in spring.
Yeah, you need to see that transition into the regular season because let's face it, these guys that listen, I'm not going to complain about a 500 batting average. That's awesome. That's amazing. Yeah. You'd rather see that than the opposite, right? But at the same time, these guys they've been hitting against are not very good, not very good pitchers. Are probably not going to make most of the rosters that they played. But like I said, man, if he can take that momentum, PCA, Miguel Amaya, those guys can take that momentum and bring it into spring training. Bring it into the regular season in Japan. That would be awesome. The guy I'm worried about, the guy who has not had a good spring training, is once again Sean Dansby Swanson. Continues to struggle at the plate. That's got to change. At some point, that's got to change. And I don't know if you watched the game that you were talking about against the Brewers where Justin Steele got blown up, Sean, but Dansby Swanson had some pretty ugly errors in that game as well.
Yeah, Swanson's batting .222 on the spring. Not looking so good. Kind of looking like where he took off. And Matt Shaw coming in, on having to catch up to everybody else, missing a lot of time. He's batting .313 just to start the spring, and just a small sample size. So hopefully we get what we want out of these rookies. It would be quite impressive and make me pretty happy, and I know you as well, and a whole bunch of fans on the north side of Chicago. And ladies and gentlemen, it's a rough week. We live in a town, like we said earlier, that celebrates St. Patrick's Day to its fullest. Kyle and I will be one working and one around the festivities. So we won't be live tomorrow, but the big announcement is the Cubs are in Japan, and we will have Alex Patt on the show next Saturday to help break it down, everything that happened overseas with the Cubs and the $1 billion Dodgers. Hopefully we're talking about a Chicago Cubs sweep overseas. That would be amazing. How they're going to control Ohtani, I don't know, because that guy can hit everything.
Sean, walk him.
No, I would.
Walk him.
But here's the question.
In Japan, walk him.
You remember when they used to do that to Harper? Intentionally walk him?
They walked him five. Didn't they walk him 5 times in one game?
Yeah. What kind of uproar would that bring in Japan if you don't allow Ohtani to hit and the Cubs decide to walk him? Craig, if I'm
I
Craig,
don't care.
I'm with you.
Sean, you know what I care about? I care about winning baseball games.
That's right.
Another thing I want to talk about just real quick, Sean, is here we are getting to the beginning of the season. Every year, Cubs fans at the bar, the people I talk to, I'm like, man, I can't believe they blew that save last night. They should have won that game. They had that game won. They were winning all game. Oh, Kyle, it's March. It's April. These games don't matter. Yeah, well, guys, the Cubs have missed the playoffs by one game in back-to-back years. So every single game matters. Every single game. Listen, if they come out of this Japan series 0-2, it's not going to be the end of the world. Not because it's the Japanese series and all this, because it's the Dodgers, and they're going to beat a lot of teams. They're going to make a lot of teams look bad. But after this series, the Cubs need to compete with really good teams. They have to go 500 against good teams, and they need to beat the teams they're supposed to beat.
Yes.
If the Cubs want to make the playoffs this year, I still think, I've said this numerous times, Sean, I know you kind of disagree with me. I still believe the Brewers are going to be a formidable opponent. We're going to win probably somewhere around 87, 88 games. So the Cubs have to keep pace with them. The Cubs, and particularly the Cubs, have to play well in the series versus the Brewers. And in their division, the Cubs have to play well in their division. They did not win enough games in their division last year. That has to change this season.
They gotta be 500 on the road against their division and over 500 at home against their division, and that's how you win a division.
Yeah.
So
and same should be said about good teams: the Dodgers, the Braves, the Phillies, the Yankees. They have to be at least 500 against them.
And the problem is those teams do that.
Yeah. If you want to be in that conversation, you need to start playing like those teams. And like we were just talked about, Sean, if PCA ends up being the guy we think he all is capable of being, if he reaches his potential, if that guy can hit 260 and you put him in, he's just creates havoc on the base paths, and you put him and Kyle Tucker in the same lineup, the Cubs get a lot more dangerous. Like we talked about, I'm not going to go down the whole rabbit hole here, but my major concern with the Cubs this season, which is crazy to me because it's completely flipped from every other season, is the starting pitching.
I agree. That's my big concern. I think they'll hit. I think the bullpen's short up, but I think at some point either Cade Horton comes up, who, by the way, pitched the other day a perfect ninth inning and got a save. So that's great news for the Chicago Cubs. It was his first outing of the spring. He will, for all intents and purposes, open in AAA Iowa. But as Craig Counsell spoke live and said, our goal is to get him up on this ball club this season. And he said that in the presser after that ninth inning performance. So maybe the Cubs aren't looking for another starter and they're bringing Cade Horton up to dominate maybe in May or June. We will see how that plays out. Hopefully he can stay healthy. The other pitcher we talked about last week, Kyle, who also had a very strong performance this week, was one Jordan Wicks. So some of these young guys seem to be coming along, and as fans, we want instant gratification. Sometimes we just have to press the patience button.
Baseball is so tough, Sean, because in every other sport, like say the NFL draft, right? So you get a first-round pick. It doesn't take very long in the NFL to tell whether or not a guy is going to be first-round pick worthy, right? Like we could tell pretty quickly that Leonard Floyd should not have been picked in the first round. He should have been in like an early second-round pick, middle of the second-round pick. We could tell that Shea McClellan was not going to be very good in the NFL after his first 10, 12, 14 starts. Baseball is a totally different sport. And like we drafted Jordan Wicks about the first round, and here we are like, should Jordan Wicks be part of this rotation? Like, well, you drafted him in the first round 2 years. He should be part of the rotation, right? You tell us, is there something we're not seeing? Does Jordan Wicks suck and we just don't know it yet? So these guys, like I expect Cade Horton to come up here and get I expect him to get some run out of the bullpen before they just throw him in to start. That's what I would do with him.
Unless the rotation is absolutely devastating.
Yeah, unless you're talking about like Assad's out, Ben Brown's out, Matthew Boyd's out, Colin Ray's out, and then the option is kind of taken out of your hands, right? But I expect it to be slowly brought along.
As we stated at the beginning of the show, because we're going to put a bow on this thing, we're recording it. Hopefully you all enjoy it. We will be back live, as I said, next week to break down this series in Los Angeles, in Japan versus Los Angeles with Mr. Alex Patt. Can't wait to get him back on. He's insightful, and he will, I'm sure, have a lot of great knowledge about what happened overseas. Before we get out of here, though, Shota Imanaga, to his teammates, said, "We're in Japan, and Seiyao and I are Japanese. If you have any questions about Japan, feel free to ask. But when you do, show us respect and give us a nice big bow before asking." He did say that with humor, but I believe that is the culture over there. And we're going to show you a quick video here. But he also commented through his interpreter that it makes him very happy to see his teammates, especially at the party they had when they arrived, take a lot of interest in the Japanese culture, and they're enjoying everything so far. And he's very much enjoyed seeing that. So I'm very happy that the Cubs are taking care of this. I mean, most of these guys can afford to go to Japan, but this is also, you're playing ball, once in a lifetime thing. So they did visit this temple, and I'm going to let Kyle handle this one because it seems like he kind of nailed it. So
yeah. So sorry if I butcher this, guys, but I believe it's the Kanda Myojin Shrine, and it's in Akibara.
Akibara, that's what it looks like.
And sorry if I butchered it, guys.
And the Cubs are there to pray. So check this out. Got Seo and Tucker in there. There's a lot of these videos going around. I just didn't want different things that the Cubs have been doing around Japan. I highly advise you guys hit up Twitter because the only way we're getting these things right now are through Cubs analysts and reporters that are out there. God knows I'm not there. I thank Alex Cohen for some of these videos that we shared with you because most of them are coming from him. And again, congratulations on his promotion from AAA to the big league club. I'm not sure. I think he's going to be in the booth. I'm not sure exactly what he's doing, but I have listened to him do the Iowa Cubs broadcasts in the past. He's pretty damn good at his job. So a well-deserved honor. Congratulations, Alex, and keep updating us about what's going on overseas. Anything else you want to say before we get out of here?
No, just everybody who watches this, please like and subscribe. As always, we appreciate you guys. Thank you for tuning in. Next week, we will be back live with Alex Patt once again, guys. Obviously, keep an eye out for us on Mondays on the Halisol Hangover. We're going to be breaking down some Bears news. And then, obviously, you guys know the Bears signed a wide receiver yesterday. We'll talk about that Monday. We'll continue to break down the draft on Wednesdays on the Barely There podcast. And then, obviously, Brennan and Dustin will do their things on the bare minimum Thursday nights. Appreciate all you guys. Thank you so much for joining us.
And before we do get out of here, Brandon and Dustin just announced that our friends from Bears Country Podcast will be joining them next Thursday. So, guys, go check them out next Thursday, whereas we're going to cross-promote each other's podcasts, and I'm sure they're going to have a lot of fun with Shorty and Foster Covers, who joins us quite often in the chats. We appreciate them, and as Kyle just did, we love y'all. God bless. Let's go Cubs. Let's get that sweep. Happy St. Patrick's Day, everybody. Love y'all. Stay safe out there.